if we kind of looked back on history, if someone knew that something they were doing was wrong and did it anyway, would you judge them more or less harshly? What's up, everybody? My name is Natalie, and I'm here with Victor, and today we're going to be talking about Schopenhauer. So you said you hadn't heard of him before, correct?
I don't know anything about Schopenhauer.
Okay.
So.
Do you know much about like philosophy in general, or are you interested in it?
Yeah, I have a general interest in philosophy, for sure.
Cool. All right, so yeah, like I said, I'm just going to read you a few quotes and get your take. Compassion is the basis of morality.
I mean, I feel like that sounds good. You know, like being compassionate is a pretty big part of being moral, I feel like, right? Having a little bit of empathy, and I feel like those two kind of go hand in hand. And, you know, they're both moral things.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with you because, like, you know, if you don't have compassion for someone, then it's hard to consider them to treat them morally, right?
Right. Yeah, I feel that.
Cool. Next quote. We forfeit 3/4 of ourselves in order to be like other people.
Forfeit 3/4 of ourselves? That's a big proportion, but I mean, I guess that, you know, like, makes sense. You're always trying to, you know, like, mold yourself to the people around you, and, you know, like, mold yourself to the times and, you know, like, the fashions and the modes. So, I mean, I could see where he's coming at that thought.
Yeah.
Well,
So agree or disagree?
I would say probably agree. Yeah.
I might actually go higher with it. I might say like 90%, but
Yeah, I mean, like, the more I think about it, like, probably. But I think 3/4 is probably a good place to start.
yeah, just because the way I think about it, like when we kind of look back through history or look in different cultures, they're doing things that like we would never consider doing, and we're like, wow, how did they, you know, like even in Jackson Square, like this was a slave trade, and people just, you know, accepted it. So it's kind of one of those things. It's hard to take ourselves out of our own culture.
Correct. I mean, it's like we all like to say that, you know, if like, oh, if we were in this different time, I would have done things differently. You know, it's like, no, not really. If you were probably living at the same time as Andrew Jackson, you were probably, you know, either a slave or owned slaves, and probably were just rolling with the times, you know. So, and I mean, there's a lot of that going on right now as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Cool. Last quote. Compassion for animals is intimately associated with goodness of character, and it may be confidently asserted that he who is cruel to animals cannot be a good man. Agree or disagree?
I mean, I agree, considering that most like serial killers and things like that, generally a symptom of that, or like a what is it, like a warning sign, is generally that, you know, like they're very cruel to animals. So yeah, I mean, I think if you treat another living thing with cruelty, you're probably at some level a cruel person.
Yeah, like if you're like beating a dog, it's hard to see how, you know, that would make you not a cruel person, right?
Well, I mean, you're not compassionate to like the existence of another, you know, life. You know, even though it's not human, it's, you know, you view it as less than, you know.
Do you think that we should view animals as less than just because we're like more dominant and powerful?
I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I think we should respect life in all forms, you know, but also it's a, you know, a very diverse universe where, you know, like, we're also an animal in an animal kingdom, so.
Yeah, that's true.
You know.
Yeah, so I'm curious, like you said you're against animal cruelty. Do you think the animals in the meat and dairy industries are treated cruelly?
I mean, yeah. For sure. You know, like it kind of is a messed up thing to raise, you know, like cattle from birth to the grave in a dairy environment where they, you know, they can't walk around or do anything that is, you know, like pleasurable for them. Am I in a place to make a judgment and be like, well, I, you know, can't agree because, you know, I also do eat meat. So, you know, but it's just part of the circle of life, you know, and I mean, we do have the power to make those choices and change our eating habits, but there's the fine line there of like, oh, now am I a bad person for doing that? And at a certain level, yes, you know.
So you would say eating meat and dairy makes someone a bad person?
On a certain level, yes, I would say so. Yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't say you're like a horrible person, but it's like degrees.
Yeah.
You know, like I know, you know, that I can at any point have a vegan diet, but I don't do it because, you know, who knows why.
What do you think would be the reason why? For me, it was like convenience and taste mainly. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean convenience, taste, you know, like on a basic level, probably selfishness, really, you know, and you got to be self-aware about it. At least know your flaws, you know.
Yeah. So do you think, like, if we kind of looked back on history, if someone knew that something they were doing was wrong and did it anyway, would you judge them more or less harshly?
Yeah, probably more. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it isn't like, you know, you can't claim naivety anymore. You know, I can't say you're ignorant to it. You know, so.
Yeah. So would you ever consider going vegan?
You know, I have. I've been vegetarian and vegan at different parts of my life, and you know, I always break it. You know, I always well, I always come up with a rule or some way to cheat, and then it's always hard for me to go back. You know,
Yeah, totally.
so.
Yeah, it can be tempting, like, if you mess up, to just kind of like abandon it. I kind of want to touch on the circle of life thing. So do you think, like, just because we can eat other animals, like, does that mean we should? For example, if we kind of compare what animals do in the wild to each other, they murder each other, they rape each other. Do you think that we as humans have kind of moral agency or responsibility to treat animals with respect when we can?
I think so. You know, like, we have, you know, the power to eat, you know, like a non-meat based diet if we so chose. But, you know, also that industry doesn't completely exist, and I may be wrong, like, but, you know, I just don't think at this current time it's like if everybody, you know, didn't eat meat, I guess it would be hard to, you know, like, solve like world hunger and that type of thing. But
yeah, I want to touch on that point real quick. Okay, so a lot of times when people say, like, you know, we wouldn't be able to feed people if we got rid of animal agriculture, I think what they're not taking into account is that the animals that we raise eat way more food than humans. So we're feeding around 80 billion land animals every year. If we used just the crops we use to feed livestock in the US, that would end world hunger.
right, and I mean, you know, I'm not, you know, like, super well versed on that, but, you know,
That's why I'm out here talking to people.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, you know, it's just like information, and you know, it is super interesting to think about. And I know it's like, you know, especially like myself, you know, like if I can, you know, like, eat something that's like not like meat-based protein, you know, like I always enjoy eating like tofu or, you know, whatever, like plant-based protein or this or that, you know, and I think that's just like a good first step along those lines.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I never thought I could go vegan until, like, I tried Impossible Meat, and I was like, yo, this tastes the same. Like,
Right.
Maybe I should just go for it. If you could live a life where you intentionally harmed humans, intentionally harmed animals, or neither, which would you choose?
I would probably say neither. Yeah, for sure.
You have that choice available to you now.
I do. Yeah.
Will you take it?
You know, I'll try.
Okay, cool.
That's
And
all.
yeah.
That's all any of us can do is try, right?
Yeah, and I'll give you some more resources, stuff, you know, in case you do slip up in the future, to help get you back on that track and that kind of thing.
Right.
All right, thank you so much, Victor. Truly appreciate it. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and become a patron today. If you missed yesterday's video, click to the left.